Houston, we have a problem, a big problem. We've got a tornado outbreak possibly on the way today. With a moderate risk, that's a 4 out of 5 risk in place across a huge swath of the country. We're talking large hail, strong wind, and several tornadoes across all of that area. Now, how is it all going to go down, and when will it affect you? I've got all that and more in today's forecast starting now. Welcome, guys. Today, we're going to start here on the visible satellite like we always do, and what a view we have. Look at this low pressure that is absolutely cranking up here in the Dakotas and into Minnesota. That is going to be the catalyst for all the severe weather that we have today. We've got a secondary low pressure that's starting to come up from the south. We've got some leftover shower and storm action in Kentucky. Now, normally that would dampen our severe weather threat, but because it's May and because we'll have rapid air mass recovery, that just means warm, moist air streaming up from the south. That cloud cover is not going to be a problem for today's setup. All right, so without further ado, here is the severe weather risk for today. We've got a moderate, that's in red right in there. That is the second highest level of risk you can get. And it includes cities like Paducah, Louisville, even into Cincinnati, Ohio, St. Louis. You're right on the edge of this as well. Now, the big story could be the tornadoes today. This is the tornado outlook that was just issued by the Storm Prediction Center. They've since upgraded the risk since last night. See that red right in there? That is a 15% chance of getting a strong EF2 tornado. That yellow right in here, that is a 10% chance of getting a strong EF2 tornado. So once again, those same cities that we just talked about, Cincinnati, Louisville, Paducah, St. Louis, you need to be on high alert for some very strong storms later on this afternoon and evening. Basically, the entire western portion and central portion of Kentucky is in that risk. So heads up, Kentucky. Big time storms are headed your way later this afternoon and into the evening. Even cities on the northern side of this too, like Columbus, Indianapolis, even into Pittsburgh, you guys are also at risk for some tornadoes, even into Charleston, West Virginia, and even down into Memphis and Nashville here as well. So we talked about the tornadoes, and those could definitely be bad, but the certain thing today, the thing that we know is going to happen is the wind. This is the probability of getting wind, and that scary purple there in the center, that is at least a 50% chance of getting winds of greater than 60 miles an hour. That's severe wind. Now, we could be talking about wind of 70, possibly 80 mile an hour in some storms these days. We saw that yesterday in Michigan. We're going to see that again today, but this time much further south. Even if you don't get a tornado today, if you do see storms, you're going to see significant wind, especially if you live somewhere from Columbus down through Indianapolis, all the way into Tennessee, into Kentucky. You're going to get some significant wind today, almost guaranteed. All right, so now we're going to time it out. Let me show you exactly how this could go down. So this is starting Friday morning. We've got ongoing showers and storms here, and some of these are actually severe right now in Kentucky and Tennessee. Those will slide to the east very quickly as we go into the morning hours. Watch as we go 11 a.m., 12 p.m. This is Eastern time, 1 p.m. Those are going to slam off their way to the east. And what you'll notice behind it, you'll already have storms popping right around 4 p.m. Eastern. Now, let me just show you the setup for this and how this is all going to go down. Now, you've got a low pressure up here in Minnesota, but you've also got a weaker low pressure that's starting to form right along a boundary that previous low left. You'll notice a cold front is going to start to form here, and then out in front of it, you're going to have warm, very moist air coming up from the Gulf. That's going to allow for some rapid air mass recovery. Now, what does that mean? Normally, when you have a line of storms in the morning, that can mess up, that can stabilize the atmosphere and take all that juice out. But because you have this low that's coming up, it's going to bring warm, unstable air back into Kentucky, and that's going to destabilize things in a big way and help all those afternoon storms have plenty of juice. And you're also going to have a warm front draped right along the Ohio River here, and any storms that ride right along that warm front or just south, that's where the greatest tornado potential is going to be this afternoon and evening. All right, so this is 4 p.m. Eastern. Watch as we go into 5, 6, 7. Look at that. You've got two areas of storms that form, one here in Indiana, and those will eventually move into Ohio. You've got a second area, and this is right in the heart of the moderate risk. That second area right in here, number 2, which I'm drawing on the map, that is the area that we're most concerned about for some tornadoes, especially initially. This is 7 p.m. Eastern. And notice we've also got some storms forming down here in Texas and Arkansas. Those could be severe, and this is area number 3, but I'm not as concerned as the storms further to the north. All right, so by the time the sun sets around 9 p.m., I'm going to pause it right here. This is 9 p.m. Eastern. We likely are at the apex of our severe weather events. This is when we could have many tornado warnings down here in Kentucky. I expect a couple of Boeing segments with tornado warnings all up and down them. And we likely could have a couple of waves of those too. And then our first complex that we looked at here is slamming its way into Ohio. And that's when Cincinnati, Dayton, even into Columbus from about 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 p.m. That's when those storms are going to hit you. And that's when you'll likely have severe thunderstorm warnings and maybe a couple of tornado warnings as well as that slams your way. Let's go to about 11 p.m. I'm going to pause it right there as a lot of the action is done here in Missouri, but further off to the east in central Kentucky, central Tennessee, and central Ohio, that's when those storms are going to affect you guys. And then once we get after midnight, things should calm down pretty significantly. We could have some action ongoing down here, but those storms should weaken pretty rapidly as the energy just gets zapped out of the atmosphere. And guys, here is your cape, here's your energy for storms. So I wanted to take a look at this to show you what I was talking about with the air mass recovery. So notice, starting the period, we've got plenty of fuel for storms here. 1, 2,000, 3,000, that's the yellow, that's the red. That is plenty, that is more than enough. But those morning storms, watch how they kind of zap. See how they kind of take away the cape here in central Kentucky? There's basically none there. That's normal after you get some storms that move through. But check it out as we go into the afternoon. We've got a pocket of about 3,000 to 4,000 cape as that atmosphere restabilizes. The sun comes out, that warm, moist air comes up from the south. That's what I mean. That's why the storms this afternoon are going to have plenty of fuel. Even up into Ohio, we've got values in the 1 to 2,000 range. That's fine. But down here in Arkansas, we've got values over 5,000. That is crazy. And you guys know I always like to show the significant tornado parameter because it's a pretty good measurement of, okay, where are the best tornado conditions going to be? And this is at 7 p.m. So there's kind of 2 areas that are emerging. There's one here in southern Indiana, and that eventually will lift into southern Ohio. And then there's a second area down here in Tennessee and in Kentucky. And those are kind of the 2 areas I expect today to be peppered with tornado warnings. And this is 10 p.m. and those 2 areas have kind of diverged now. Now it's moving into southern Ohio, and then we've also got one down here in Tennessee. As the sun sets, as we get later on into the night, the tornado threat may diverge, and you may have more of a threat down in Tennessee, and you may have more of a threat in southern Ohio. Now, guys, I did want to take a look at another model because this is the interesting part of severe weather forecasting. Even the day of, you can have significant differences in what the models show. And right now, the NAM model is saying, yes, there's going to be storms down here, several rounds of storms that form in Kentucky and Tennessee. That's that red and green that I circled down there. That is significant storms. But notice how we don't really have a lot going on in Ohio and Indiana. It just shows you there is some uncertainty the further north you go. And that's why that severe weather risk isn't expanded further to the north. Because even though the conditions are right, there's no guarantee that you will actually get storms. And if the NAM is right, Ohio is going to get zilch. Fantastic. I love that. I hate seeing good storms. Bottom line, guys, it is almost certain that significant storms are going to form, several waves of them down here in this area that I circled in Kentucky, southern Illinois, southeastern Missouri, and southern Indiana, and into Tennessee. The big question is, how far north do those storms go? And will Indiana and Ohio be also affected? That's the question mark in my mind. And that's what we'll figure out as we go throughout the day. Deep breath, everyone. We're going to get through this. We talked about the severe weather today. Now let me show you what the weekend is going to be like for the rest of us. So we talked about this low pressure up here in the Dakotas. That's going to make for a pretty miserable couple of rainy days. Probably going to be pretty cold up there. Not really talking about severe weather, more just talking about a soggy Saturday. And then like we had talked about, we're going to have a low down here as well. This is a secondary low, a weaker low, and that's going to lift to the north as we go throughout the weekend. Watch what happens as we go into Friday night and Saturday. That weak low pressure moves into the northeast here, and that's going to make for a soggy Saturday. I feel like the last Friday forecast, I also said soggy Saturday. Another soggy weekend on tap for the northeast. Yikes. But most other places in the country, we're going to be rain-free except down here in Texas, where we could get some severe weather. We also could get a couple of isolated storms down here in the southeast. But outside of that, Saturday should be beautiful for a lot of folks, especially in the heart of the country here. But that's going to change on Sunday. watch as we go into Sunday during the day. We've got a low that comes off the Rockies. As it does so, it's going to have a dry line right here that's going to be centered in Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. You'll also have a warm front lifting to the north. That is where you'll have a focal point for significant showers and storms right in there, right in that region that I just circled. And we are going to be talking about a supercell outbreak with tornadoes possible. Severe weather in Oklahoma is about to come roaring back in a major way. I just said like 3 show titles all at once. And then going into Monday, once the weekend is over, we're going to reload and have another day of severe weather. Check it out. That same low, you'll have a dry line once again here out on the plains, and significant severe weather is likely in Oklahoma, Kansas, even up into Nebraska. Outside of this area that I just circled right here on the plains, the rest of the country is going to be dry on Monday. And then Tuesday, do it all over again. Looks like we'll have more severe weather just a little bit off to the east here, generally in this region, and we could get rain returning to the Ohio Valley as well. And guys, that's why we already have an enhanced risk for day 3. That's on Sunday, where we're expecting significant severe storms. Guys, when they issue a day 3 enhanced, that moderate that we got today, that was a day 3 enhanced. So this also could get upgraded if things continue to look as potent as they do. That's Sunday, so Kansas, Oklahoma, heads up. And then Monday, May 19th, we've got another significant day. The Storm Prediction Center has already highlighted this is an enhanced risk. This is a day 4 enhanced risk. And then we've got a slight risk as well. And that's big time. They only normally do this when they know Monday could be a significant day. And then Tuesday, we talked about Tuesday. Tuesday's going to be further off to the east. They've already added the slight risk out. Includes Arkansas into Missouri, maybe even to Tennessee and Kentucky. We've got endless severe weather starting today, going through Tuesday. All right, guys, that's all I got for us today, but check it out. This is the cat of the video. This is Sir Purrs, who is listening to the show yesterday. Thank you to Aussie Cat and everyone that sends me cat photos on Twitter. Make sure to tag me at StormCat5. Also, if you have any weather photos, send them to me as well. I'll be sure to show them on the show. I'm going to show them on the show, in the show, at the show, when I go to the show. That was a lot of shows. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. I'll be live later on Reed's channel. We'll probably go live later on tonight. Have a wonderful Friday. I want you to do something right now, guys. If you do live in that severe weather risk, for today, make sure alerts are turned on your phone. You go into the settings, look under alerts, make sure tornado warnings and weather alerts are switched to on. Because if you do get a tornado warning, take it seriously. Get to shelter, go to a basement today. Don't freak out. I don't want you to stress out today. I know we like to talk weather up on this channel, but don't freak out just yet. Just have a plan in place in case things go down. Find someone, tell them you love them, tell them you care about them right now today. This is StormCat5, and I'll see you on the next one.